I am so glad that you're here with me today. Today we are going to talk about views, and this first course is known as View Basics. So we're going to take it real slow and get through one topic at a time. So what is a Django view? This is something that was so foreign to me when I first started to code in Python and then move on to Django. A view, or a view function, as it's really known, its proper name, serves a specific purpose and is really the logic behind what a specific Django template presents to the end user, right? So if it's a home page of a website, you want to display the details of data in your database, or a list of what's in your database, or a query set of what's in your database. All that logic happens through what is known in Django as the view, okay? Web pages and other content in Django are delivered by views. It's really part of a bigger construct known as MVC, or Model View Controller. Django subscribes to that construct, right? It's not the only web framework that works that way, but certainly Django is an example of a framework that works that way. So each view is represented either by a function, a Python function, or a method. So we can have function-based views or class-based views. And in all the classes that we go over specific to views, we're going to cover both. So you'll be able to see both, and you'll be able to see the benefits of each. A view is chosen by a URL pattern within a URL conf, or configuration, a URL configuration based on what a user requests through a web browser. So it's the URL conf, or better known as the URL.py file, that will call that view, that will wake that view up, if you like. And we have a whole other section on URL conf, so I won't go into them in great detail, only enough to get us to understand the concepts around the views. When a user makes a request through a browser, specifically the part of the URL that appears after the domain name is what that URL conf is interested in. In this example that I give here, we have www.akc.org/dogbreeds. It's that dog breeds part that the URL conf is going to wake up to, right? A view at a minimum must do one of two things. It either returns an HTTP response object containing the content for the requested web page or object, or it raises an exception. It can do other things, but it must do one of those two things. Here we have a very simple view, right? This is a function-based view. So let's go into this. Each view takes an HTTP request object as its first parameter. It doesn't matter whether it uses it or not. By convention, the name of that request is request. So you see here, after the import, which imports HTTP response, which we need in this case, you see that the very first parameter and the only parameter is request. So after we define our function, hello world, and we get to choose any name, like any other Python function, we must have that request in there, right? The request object represents a single request by a user or a user agent from a web browser or search engine or whatever it is, and it holds all the metadata about that request. That's why it's important. And then it returns a response known as an HTTP response. And in this case, it's simply the string hello world. So if this particular view were to be rendered, and provided we built a template, we would be able to see hello world. Now we'll create our URL conf only because we have to build on what we're talking about here with views to make the rest of the presentation work. We have a separate section based on URL configurations where we go into this in great detail, but we'll go into it enough here to make sense of what we're talking about with views. So we create a URL configuration for the Yogi Coder application. And I point out here that there's also a URL configuration, or a urls.py file at the project level. These are two different things. They have two different purposes, and you see them both here, and I want to point them both out. So if you look here under number 1, you'll see the basic structure. And I have a whole section on setup as well that goes into this. Certainly if you use PyCharm Professional as I do, it takes a lot of this out of your hands and creates it for you, which is just a dream. But if you see here, I have my container. I call it My Project 1. And then inside I have my project, My Project 1. And then inside that, I created an application called Yogi Coder, because this whole training series, this inch-by-inch training series, where I hope to go into enough detail to really teach a man to fish rather than give a man a fish, and you guys will let me know if I hit that sweet spot. This is all about building this site, which is great for me, and hopefully it's great for you. But in there, I have to create the urls.py file. It's in here that I create my first configuration, or my first what they call URL pattern, for an index view, which is going to be at the base of this website. So it's Yogi Coder / would be equivalent to this view. And here you'll see, and we go into this so many times, what I'd like to do through this whole training is to state something, expose you to it, and then reinforce it more and more and more. Hopefully that's appealing to you, and hopefully that helps you to learn. It does for me. But anyway, views.index, that is pointing to a function-based view called index inside my views file, okay, which is exactly where we'll create this. And the views file, you see, is right here. And then the name, this becomes very important. It's not required, but I always name my views, and we'll see as we go further into this why that's important and so helpful. I call it index, okay, so we have the view index. It's at the root of my application. So if one were to go to my local host and then / Yogi Coder, you should get this view. So here we go into the other urls.py. Okay, now this is at this level, right? The project level. So urls.py here, which gets created automatically when I create my project through PyCharm, is what is known as the root URL conf or configuration. So here we have to add this Yogi Coder / include, so that Django, right, my project knows about this application. For every new application I add, you'd have to do this. So this looks slightly different than here because we're using this include statement. So here I extract right from the Django project docs what the include function is all about and why it's important. So I won't go in great detail, but I wanted to expose you to it. It is important, as I said on the previous slide, whenever we have a new application, we must include it in our base urls.py file. So here we have, at the top portion of the screen, we have two views. One is the index view that we spoke about. You see how simple that is. And the second is also a function view. I call it lists. And now we start to tie into our backend database. And we have a whole other section on models and databases. And I encourage you to go take a look at that if that's something that's of interest to you. Common view pattern that you'll see over and over again is to load a template, fill it with a context, and then return a response object. And you see that here happening in the second view with this render method. So the render method or function provides a shortcut to do just that, those three things that allow our code to be shorter and more efficient. Django is chock full of shortcuts. Sometimes the knock on Django, I'm a Flask user as well, is that it does too much for you. But I don't buy that because I love the convenience, and then it also allows you to extend our classes and our functions. So it's the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned. It really is my favorite framework. Request an object. This is an instance of HTTP request that contains info about the current web request that has triggered, in our case, the list view to begin with. Then a template name. This is a name, or in our case, a path, because I qualify it with Yogi Coder because of where it is in our directory structure, of the template to be rendered with the request data. And then finally, we have the dictionary. In our case, the key is training. The value is training as well. And this represents all the fields in our database table entitled training because of the query we have here, the training.objects.all. And again, don't let that confuse you. If it's new to you, go right over to the models training course and you'll be able to make sense of that. So again, the render function returns a response object of the template with the provided context. I wanted to expose you to what really happens through the template response process. So we spoke about it before. Templates response, it instantiates the template response object with a request, which is an instance of HTTP request, a template object to render, and then a context, which is really a special dictionary of values to add to that template. So before an instance of template response can be rendered to the client, it must be rendered. And the rendering process, in essence, turns it into the final byte stream that can be served to the client. A response can only be rendered once. The first call to render sets the content of the response. Subsequent calls do not change that content. And you see in the example that we've seen previous, this is my lists view, my lists function view. So you see return render the request, the template, number 2, and the context. So let's talk a little bit about what the process is at a conceptual level. What happens when a user makes a request at a Django-driven website? So the first thing is the user visits your website by accessing the URL, possibly off your home page or what have you, through another site, doesn't matter. So they go to, say, index.html. That request for index is first sent to the project's URL configuration. And the request is either handled there, more than likely, it's passed off to your application's URL configuration. Or the third option is an error might be raised. The third step in the process is if the application's URL config has a pattern that matches the index, it then energizes or wakes up or makes the call to its associated view through that URL pattern that we've seen. The fourth step is the view then returns the object, the page, the image, whatever, back to the user's browser. That's how the process works. I wanted to make sure I really took us through this URL config versus the URL that a user would go to, because it really confused me at the beginning. If I go to YogiCoder / or YogiCoder, I should see the hello Django, you're at the YogiCoder index. Now that happens courtesy of what? A couple of things, right? The view and the URL pattern, but I wanted to really underscore this URL pattern. You see here the path is empty quotes, right? It all comes down to how you have your project configured, right? It's empty because I'm at my application's root, so to speak, right? So if I decided to put YogiCoder there, then I'd have to change the link to that particular URL to be YogiCoder / YogiCoder. So the empty quotes is the application layer, right? It's the application level, so it would just be YogiCoder. So that's where the blank comes from. If I wanted to change it now, right, to challenge ourselves and think through this, if I wanted to change it and make it index, right? If I didn't want them to go to just the base of YogiCoder, I wanted them to go to YogiCoder index, say, for instance, then I would simply change that path and the URL pattern to what I have here down at the bottom, which would be index /. So instead of empty quotes, it'd be index / and then it would be YogiCoder / index for our user to visit. And you see that I have that there at the bottom right-hand side. Note in Django that the leading / is never needed for a path statement because every URL path has that. So that's assumed by Django. So let's highlight our key takeaways today. So with respect to a Django framework-driven web page, in terms of our 3 key artifacts that we've spoken about today, a web page is produced by the view, right? That's the logic behind it. It's presented through a template. That's our HTML page, and it's specified by a URL configuration or a URL conf, and that is what makes the call to the view. Those are the 3 key takeaways from this very basic introduction to views. We have a lot of fun ahead of us as we dig deeper into both function and class-based views. We'll see just how views work with our data in our database, our forms, and certainly our templates. We will even see how we can employ JavaScript and jQuery to make for quite the interactive user experience. Let's keep learning together. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them for me in the comment section on YouTube, and I promise I'll respond. Thanks, folks.